The cars are forming up to go out for the final race here at Knockhill in the Toyo Tires Porsche Championship. Lawrence is on pole position because of the reverse grids, but Adam, you've won the first two races. Can you make it 3 out of 3?
Hopefully, we'll see. It's going to be a busy reverse grid. Not a lot of places to pass around here, so the first lap's going to be critical. I know Coleman's hungry for it, but let's see what we can do.
Well, we hope you have all the best out there. Look forward to speaking to you at the end of the race. Jake Sanson, it's over to you to take us through the rest of the grid.
Well, this could be one of the toughest reverse grids in the championship's history here at Knockhill. Lawrence and Ludford on the front row of the grid, Bartz and Hull on the second, Young and Molyneux on row 3 from James Coleman, Adam Southgate and Andrew Porter, who retired from race 2. Rossin and Waters are on the front row for this one with Gavin Johnson. No Darren Constant, unfortunately. He's not going to be able to make the restart for technical difficulties. Kevin Ludford on the front row of the grid is going to be really struggling here off the line. Away we go. Look at Southgate and Coleman already starting to make progress as they come through. We're on board with Molyneux. That's Ludford in with us. Gary Lawrence leading the way in the all-black Porsche at the lead of the race. Hull trying to come through for second. Molyneux through for third. So that's a really good start. Ludford is going to drop to 4th position. Make that 5th, make that 6th, make that 7th. Goodness me, Ludford swamped on the exit of the hairpin there. And Coleman and Southgate were definitely through in that. And look, Coleman is in front of Southgate. Now that is critical, not just for the race, but for the championship, because Coleman really wanted to take some points away from Southgate. He's already in front of the 45, so that's really important. So through come the 924s, Waters in the lead, Johnson second, Ross in third. It could well stay that way to the flag, or there might be a few more changes. But the Boxster battle is definitely going to be heated throughout. But Southgate behind Coleman is very important. That's Christian Young in front of Bartz as they come up through the Sayat curves once again. We're on board with Southgate. Now, this is all about how James Coleman deals with the drivers in front of them. Molyneux goes to the pit wall, so Coleman may have a chance to go through on the inside. That's Carl Rossin trying to close up on Johnson. Hull is going for the lead on Lawrence, and Coleman is going for third on Molyneux. So Hull's through into the lead, Coleman's through into third. Southgate tried to get past Molyneux as well, has to hang back a little bit. And look, that has definitely put a bit of space between Coleman and Southgate. So now Coleman is going for a move on Lawrence. That's a brave overtaking place into Hislop's, and he's made it stick. Well, I knew James Coleman was good. I didn't know he was that good. Goodness me, that was a brave overtake. Lawrence now, he can defend here from Molyneux and Southgate, no problem at all here. He can, of course, because this is a race situation. They are racing for position. Never mind the fact that Southgate and Coleman have been faster than them through the weekend. They are racing, so he has absolutely no obligation to move over and let the slower cars, faster cars through. This is Southgate trying to get on terms with Molyneux as he comes up and over the final turn. Now we're going to get a change for the lead, are we? Coleman going for Nick Hull. He goes right round the outside. Hull is defending like crazy. If Coleman spends too long trying to take this lead away from Hull, it could compromise his race hopes. So he wants to get on with it quickly. That is Lawrence defending from Molyneux, and Southgate can't get by. Here comes Southgate. Oh, this is Molyneux, trying to come past. Lawrence doesn't have the straight line speed. Coleman tries again on the inside of Hislop's. Hull is not going to let him through easily. Lawrence and Molyneux side by side for third position. Lawrence goes far around the outside of Clark's. How did he hold on to that? Brilliant stuff from Gary Lawrence. Hull still holds on to the lead from Coleman. Watch out, Nick! Careful! Goodness me! Tripping over the curbs there and almost ending up in the kitty litter. That's enough for Coleman to have a go, but Nick Hull is not going to let him through. Goodness me, Coleman sliding around all over the place now. We're on board with Southgate. Tucked up behind the man in 4th place. That's Kevin Molyneux. Ahead of us is Gary Lawrence. Up and over the Sayat curves. These three are losing time to each other. Bartz is not far away. Watch Southgate! He's going to hug the pit wall and move up into 3rd place. He's going to overshoot past both Lawrence and Hull, and no doubt at all there. Past Hull for the lead goes Coleman. So Coleman now leads, Hull second. Southgate round the outside of Lawrence. It was, not Hull, my apologies. Lawrence is 4th, Molyneux is 5th, Southgate's up into 3rd place. Terrific racing, and that's what we love about the third race of the weekend. The reverse grid race is always spectacular. Now to Molyneux, getting squeezed by Lawrence. Oh dear, that almost ended in tears. Now Molyneux's got a chance to come back up the inside. Lawrence moves to protect it. Molyneux swings to the right in the hope to try and switch back. Terrific racing. Now we're going to leave these four for dead in the battle for fourth position by the look of it, the leaders. Lawrence in fourth, Molyneux fifth. Sixth position there is still Bart's, and then seventh place is Young. We're on board with Southgate. He's caught up to Nick Hull. Hull's going to defend. Second position, he wants to finish here. Southgate is not going to resist. Up the inside, and he's going to take that second place. Good move from Southgate. Now the race really is on. Coleman's hit the front. Southgate's got to second as Lawrence again defends from Molyneux. The race is now about whether Southgate can catch and then pass Coleman. Molyneux's got a good run up the straight there towards Hislops. This is Southgate being chased by Nick Hull. Molyneux again on Lawrence. Lawrence again shuts the door. Plenty of time left in this race, of course. We're only in the early stages, so that's pretty impressive to see how Coleman and Southgate got themselves up to first and second. That's a bit of a problem for Young, I think. Young's got a mechanical problem because Porter's gone straight through. And Porter is faster than Young at the moment, but he's certainly not that faster over one lap. So I wonder if maybe did Young miss a gear, or has he got a mechanical problem? Something like that. Anyway, Waters, Johnson and Rossin. That's the 924 battle, and they are still together on track. They go up towards the John R. Weir chicane. No problems at all for Phil Waters in the lead. Johnson in second, Rossin in third. Still they battle away. Just watching these cars makes me itch to get back in one. They are fantastic, and I'm very grateful to the PDC Racing team for who Gavin Johnson drives for giving me that opportunity at Alton Park last year. Kevin Molyneux trying to come past Lawrence. He's flirting with the white line on the far side to make it happen. There's not a lot of room, but he's going to make it happen. Kevin Molyneux through into P4. Good move. Oh, I tell you what, Dolly Molly really on it at the moment there in P4. Lawrence is in danger of losing fifth position as well. I think Nick Bartz is trying to come around the outside. And a good move there from Bartz, but he hasn't been able to make the place up. So he's still pushing for it. Gary Lawrence in the 93 from Nick Bartz in the 169, and he needs to get on with it because he's got Andrew Porter right behind him in the 33 trying to make up for the spin off the circuit in race 2. So Porter's still pushing hard in 7th position trying to chase after these guys, but Nick Hull has got a lot of distance between himself and this battle, so 3rd position looks like it could be on the cards for Nick Hull. Porter's going to make a late dive to the inside of Bartz. You've got to commit! He bails out of it. Goodness me, that was very close to contact, but well played by Andrew Porter for deciding at the last minute, no, I'm coming out of it. And there's Christian Young. Well, I did say it was a mechanical problem that put Porter so quickly in front of him. Christian Young's had a miserable weekend on that score. 4th place in race 2, but then 2 mechanical problems in the other 2 races. He would have scored a lot of points from this weekend had it not been for that. Hopefully they'll get the car repaired in time for the next round, but that's frustration. Big star for Christian Young. Gavin Johnson now chasing down Phil Waters for the lead in the 924s. Good racing between these two this weekend. They've got a win apiece. Who's going to get the 3rd one? Waters through the left-hander at Clark's. No major problems at the moment for him. Ticking over nicely. Getting some good racing under their belts. And here is Coleman versus Southgate. Southgate's caught up to James Coleman. So now Southgate is looking for a way to intimidate Coleman. Coleman just needs to ignore Southgate completely. Focus on his own race. But this is interesting. Now the hunted becomes the hunter. As Adam Southgate chasing down James Coleman in exactly the reverse role. So Coleman is now leading, trying to get his first win of the season. He put off some fantastic drives in 2017. I'm really hoping that these two will be the Hammer and Tongs rivals of 2018. Looks like we've got 2 more Hammer and Tongs rivals in 2018. Phil Waters and Gavin Johnson in the 924 class. So Johnson hoping to take the title in 2018. It's not been the easiest of starts with Rick Styron picking up both the victories at Alton Park. Here comes Southgate. Can he make it a hat-trick? He's got to find a way past James Coleman to do it. 4 wins in 4 races for Adam Southgate, but James Coleman is absolutely irate. He needs to come through and get his first victory to stop that deadlock, to stop that dominant streak. We saw it from Ed Hayes last year. Eventually drivers started to take victories off him, but the lead was already so strong that he couldn't be caught in the championship fight. But Adam Southgate determined to keep his clean sweep of victories going and get one over on James Coleman. But after the frustrations of Alton Park, Coleman will want more than anything to finish his race weekend with a victory here at Knockhill. Up and over Butchers and into Scotsman's Corner, and then up towards the Sayat curves, the right and the left, uphill, flat on the throttle as a result of it. Got to be so careful on the way through though, because it's uphill, it's crested, and of course there are a lot of bumps at that part of the circuit, so going downhill when it's a clockwise configuration is tough enough. Going uphill anti-clockwise is really tough. Southgate's going to slingshot out. Coleman moves to cover. Well, that's going to happen a few times in this race before we get the checkered flag, because these guys are really going to have to concentrate now. Southgate chasing after Coleman. This is going to be very, very intense right the way to the death, isn't it? Gavin Johnson still pushing to try and close up on Phil Waters as we reach the halfway mark in this third race of the weekend. But Phil Waters determined to hang on to it. Look at Southgate absolutely spitting the exhaust fumes of James Coleman as they go through the John R. Weir chicane. God, Coleman's pushing hard. Very nearly not on the track at all. Very nearly not on the curb at all. That was almost straight through the kitty litter. As into the pits comes Ludford. What a shame. It looks like Ludford is going to retire from the race with mechanical problems of his own. Clearly Knockhill has not been kind to several drivers. Here's Southgate. He's got another good run. Coleman absolutely determined. This inside line, mate, is mine. If you want to make the overtake, you're going to have to try something pretty special. So Southgate goes the long way. We have seen a couple of drivers make an overtaking move around the outside, but only when there's a real momentum of battle in their favour. Southgate's trying to get the undercut on Coleman out of the hairpin, though, through the undercut. Coleman squeezes him, but Southgate keeps his foot in. Goodness me, I thought they were going to go off then. But Southgate backs out of it just in the nick of time. And so as they come over the curbs once more, James Coleman leading, Southgate in second position. Down the short stretch to the John R. Weir chicane. Now this is Gary Lawrence as he battles away with Andrew Porter behind him. So Kevin Molyneux's not only got past Lawrence, he's disappeared into the distance. So this is now about Andrew Porter trying to find a way past Gary Lawrence. Now Lawrence is definitely not as fast as we're used to seeing him go. He's got all sorts of problems this weekend, hence why he changed cars. It wasn't quite right in the second race either. But now he's really struggling to keep Porter at bay. Here's the 924 pair, still battling away for the victory. Phil Waters and Gavin Johnson, no major changes, but there's that frustrating 2 to 3 car gap between the pair of them that means they can't actually scrap for position. They're just line astern, and Johnson, in effect, is waiting for Phil Waters to make a mistake in the Maluto car. But the team do an amazing job setting this car up, and it's unlikely that he's just going to drop it. Phil Waters is a very composed driver. No matter what he says about his current form, and he will be his own worst critic, he's very, very strong in these sorts of conditions. He's really, really good, got good rhythm, good pace, and good momentum. Here come the Porsche Boxsters out in front. They are closing in on the 924s to lap them. They've just lapped Carl Rossin, actually, in third place, who's another one who just doesn't have any pace at all here at Knockhill. He's usually up at the front battling for the victory, but for some reason the car just doesn't seem to have the one-lap pace here at Knockhill. It is a tricky circuit, and don't forget this is the first time in history the Toyo Tires Porsche Championship has raced on this circuit anti-clockwise, because every other time they've come here it's been clockwise. It's a whole new ball game for these guys. But as you can see, the two leading drivers in the Porsche Boxsters are now closing up on the two leading drivers in the 924s, and Johnson is closing up on Phil Waters in the lead, so this could get quite interesting. Waters definitely not as far ahead of Gavin Johnson as he was. Southgate is going to try and use the 924s to his advantage to try and find a way to A, close up on Coleman, and B, get past into the John R. Weir chicane. That is brave from Coleman. He dives through. Johnson offers no resistance at all, gets out of the way, and now Phil Waters will need to do the same thing for James Coleman and Adam Southgate. As they come up through the Sayat curves, they're going to go to the left. Coleman hoping to try and catch out Southgate here, but Southgate's got through. Nicely done. So Coleman trying to do to Southgate what Southgate effectively did to him in race 1, which was box him in the traffic, but Southgate was not going to play ball. James Coleman still leads, Southgate second in the 924s. Phil Waters still leads, Johnson still second. But great racing from these four. Here's Porter, squeezing in between Lawrence and Bartz. And Bartz is going to run wide, and goodness me, Porter just about catches the slide, but Bartz is going to get more acceleration off the turn, and he gets through. Wow, that was close. That was very, very close. Southgate now up onto the back of Coleman. So is there going to be a chance to go for the lead? Thus far, whoever's been sat in second position, if they are faster, they've not been able to get through, and on both occasions it's been Coleman. Southgate is now going to try and make an attempt on Coleman. Down the main straight, he's got a great chance, he's got a few more miles per hour, and he's cutting through the air in the slipstream of Coleman. Is he going to dive for the inside? Well, yes he is, but Coleman's going to dive there too, so Southgate switches back to the right side of the circuit, hoping to cut across to the left side for the undercut, but again, Coleman was given all of those moves from Southgate in races 1 and 2, so he knows exactly what to do to retaliate, so I think the hat-trick may be a lot harder to achieve for Adam Southgate. He's really got to pull his socks up and find a bold move on James Coleman to take the victory in this one. Out of Clark's, down towards the John R. Weir chicane once again. Left, right, plenty of curb from both of them. That's perfectly fine. Through Butchers, keep the car on the straight and narrow, and then through Scotsman's corner, up to the Sayat curves, flat on the throttle, uphill, right, left, still hard on the power, and here's that battle between Lawrence, Bartz and Porter. Gary Lawrence is still hanging on to it for the moment. I think this is for 5th position, isn't it, this battle, this trio. So Lawrence in 5th, Bartz in 6th, Porter in 7th. Ahead of them is both Nick Hull in 3rd and Kevin Molyneux in 4th. These three still scrapping away as Bartz wants to try and get him out. Oh, a bit of a twitch there from Bartz, and that's held him up. So Porter now has a chance to come through. Gary Lawrence is loving it. See you later, boys. I'll just go ahead and snatch 5th position, if that's all right. Again, Southgate hassling Coleman as they go through Clark's. Back on the power once more. Trying to get by. No real opportunities to overtake yet. Coleman is keeping... Oh, Coleman goes off! Coleman goes off and over the curbs there. That was right off the circuit. He just about gets away with that one. Now, the question is he going to get a warning flag for that? I would say almost certainly, but that is proving that Southgate is chipping away at Coleman's composure. He went right off the circuit there. I think he had only 2 wheels on the curb. Let's look. Not even, look, 4 wheels up in the air. That was a rodeo for James Coleman in the lead of the race, and now he's having to defend big time from Adam Southgate. That was a big, big moment for James Coleman as he went over the curbs. All 4 wheels left the deck, and he looked like something out of the Fast and the Furious for a brief moment. Southgate still pushing James Coleman as they battle for the victory. They are running out of time, and Southgate knows it. He's going to commit. He's not close enough, really. He's too far back. So he comes off of Clark's, down the short stretch to the chicane once again, the John R. Weir chicane. Into the left, into the right. 1 lap ago, Coleman got this very wrong. This time he gets it almost too perfectly. He's trying his best to make sure he doesn't get a penalty for that. But it's easy to happen. But James Coleman still hanging on to the victory. I don't think that is an offence worthy of a penalty, as Nick Bartz is in the pits. So Bartz has had a problem. Let's have a look. This is a replay of Porter on Lawrence. And Porter has got it very wrong on the exit. And Lawrence comes straight back through. So the battle between those two still very neatly joined. But Bart's no longer a factor in it because he's in the pits. This is Southgate on the back of James Coleman. Is there an opportunity to come through? They've just lapped Nick Bartz, who's left the pits, of course. So a big difficulty for Nick Bartz, but at least it looks like he will get to the finish of this race. Adam Southgate and James Coleman still battling away for the victory, and still Southgate can't find a way past Coleman in exactly the same way that there was a difficulty in the previous one for Coleman to come past on Southgate. The roles are reversed and it's worked out very well for them. Really good battles, really exciting stuff as Porter once again has a go at Lawrence, trying to find a way to come through. Really intense battles between these two as they come through. We're in the closing stages, only a couple of minutes left of the action as Porter again doggedly tries to come through on Lawrence. Really exciting stuff as Porter, he just keeps on trying to find that little extra bit of gap to make his way through on the inside. Hasn't been very easy for him to achieve as up the inside. That is Coleman still defending from Southgate. Southgate is doing exactly to Coleman what Coleman did to Southgate in races 1 and 2. He's just not been able to find the width of the gap to come through. Once again through Hislops. Can Southgate make a way through? He's going to try for it this time. Oh, Coleman beautifully moves the cover. Southgate shut down. They'll come through Clark's. Oh, he's got an opportunity there on the far side. This might be his only chance to come through. He squeezes him through to the far side. They're never going to fit 2 cars through, and Southgate has to back out of it. Well, surely that is the race won for Coleman, but my word, he really gave it gusto as much as he possibly could. And I have to say, full credit to Adam Southgate, because even James Coleman wasn't that brave in race 1 and 2, but Southgate was so determined. I want the hat-trick. I want all 3 wins. He was pushing it right to the death. So now we are getting into the final couple of laps of this race, and I don't think that's a big enough. I think that's too big a gap for Southgate to close up on James Coleman. Although having said that, he's already taken a good 2 or 3 car lengths out of him just in the braking zone. That's Nick Bartz behind him, having just been into the pits with mechanical problems. That's Nick Hull side by side with Kevin Molyneux. Hull throws it up the inside. Dolly Molly's going to try and get the undercut. Look at this, he's going to try and get the throttle back. But Nick Hull, very, very good on the defence is Nick Hull. This is for 3rd position. Molyneux's going to try and find that inside line at Hislop's. Hull's going to move to cover. He's already a little alongside. He can't shut the door completely. Oh, they rub bumpers there as Nick Hull holds on to 3rd place. Kevin Molyneux still trying to come through into P3. This is exciting stuff. Really good battles between them. And Molyneux's overshot. He's on the curbs. He's on the grass. Oh, Kevin, bring it back, mate. Dear, oh dear. Kevin Molyneux just caught the grass and the white line on the far side, and that got the car unsettled. So that's 3rd place gone, I'm afraid, Kevin. Unless Nick Hull throws it off the road, and he doesn't do that too often. Here in the hairpin we are once again, as Southgate closes up on James Coleman. It's now or never really for Southgate, but we know he's got the stones to try and make the move. But I'm not sure that Coleman is going to give him a chance to get there. This is the last lap, so Southgate's got to make this happen now. They come up through the curbs. This is where he tried to and then had to back out of it. But I think James Coleman's got him. It's not going to be the clean sweep for Adam Southgate. James Coleman, oh, careful, James! Chucking it in there through the John R. Weir chicane. That was very nearly a repeat of his rodeo drive a little bit earlier on. But James Coleman is going to get his first win of 2018, and that gets his championship battle underway in earnest. Through they come, out of the final turn, and James Coleman has taken a victory out of Adam Southgate this weekend. That keeps the championship alive and kicking. Great stuff, and a great battle. Brilliantly done there from Coleman. He takes the victory from Southgate. Nick Hull hangs on for 3rd place in front of Kevin Molyneux. Gary Lawrence is 5th from Andrew Porter and Nick Bartz, with retirement, sadly, for mechanical problems from Ludford and Young. In the 924s, it is Waters who hangs on for 2 out of 3, ahead of Gavin Johnson and Carl Rossin. The championship really is on with that win from James Coleman.
James, top step at last. You've managed to break Adam's victory run.
It's been tough doing so. We both started on the back row. We knew it wouldn't be long till we got through. I was just praying I got through before Adam, because I didn't want to be stuck behind him again. And to be honest, he was pushing all the way, but it's so difficult to get past it, as I know. So I knew it wasn't going to happen. A little move here and there stopped him coming past, and he was completely under control, to be honest.
Adam, that was tough for you, really, from the word go right the way through to the end of the race.
It really was, yeah. So fun getting through the pack. I think by lap 3 or 4 managed to get up to 2nd place, then chasing down James. And yeah, as we found the first 2 races, it's really difficult to pass here. I gave it everything, every single corner. Trying to spook him out down the bottom, but yeah, no dice. Good win for James.
Nick, great to see you on the podium again. Brilliant race out there, very tough.
Yeah, it was. It was great fun. The car sort of went off towards the end. I was really trying to keep my foot in, not making any mistakes. The tyres were going off, the brakes were going off, but I managed it. Kev was coming up on me quickly. I was just trying to keep it neat and tidy and keep him behind me till the end.
Well, that wraps up the action from Knockhill, where the Toyo Tires Porsche Championship has been a guest race on the TCR calendar. Hope to see you next time out, where the action takes place from Cadwell Park.